Welcome to the Creative Community Podcast presented by Destination Arete. I'm David.
And I'm Mark. As brothers, we grew up telling stories together for over 15 years. As adults, we want to continue telling stories together, and we want to invite you into our Brothers Brain Trust.
We started this podcast to share the beginning of our story and to share stories that influenced us. And we're continuing this podcast to write the next chapter of our story together.
Right. We are building a community of people who work together to find creative solutions to tell inspirational stories. And today, we're playing a game. So what we are doing is but our goal is to produce 30 episodes with 30 different story-based creative exercises that David and I are going to play together and that hopefully you guys can participate in along with us kind of as we do it in your own heads. So today's game is, I think, a perfect way to start out this new vein of episodes. It's called What Could Go Wrong? And we're going to be, what we have is, we have both come with sets of characters and scenarios, and we are going to roll dice to pair those characters and scenarios together. And then David and I are going to brainstorm things that could go wrong to those characters in those scenarios. And then we are going to present those to each other and see how it goes. So,
three rounds, three sets of things. So a scenario and set of characters together. Mm-hmm. We're gonna match those up for 3 rounds, and we're gonna change the rules a little bit each time. You'll see how it goes. Okay, Mark, before we get started here, why don't you read out to me the 3 scenarios? We kind of split the duties up here. Mark came up with 3 scenarios, 3 characters. I came up with 3 scenarios, 3 sets of characters. So you read out to me, Mark, your 3 scenarios, and I'll get them down here so we can roll the dice, and then I'll tell you what mine are too.
So my first scenario is looking for a misplaced wallet.
Oh. Any sort of personal experience?
No, I did have a friend who misplaced his wallet recently. I mean, I misplaced my wallet all the time, but more recently, but he recovered it. So, but it is what inspired that very real world scenario. So
nice. I like it. All right. What's your next one?
Number 2 is the fall of the Galactic Empire.
So the opposite of episode negative 66 executive order.
Yeah.
All right. The fall of the Galactic Empire.
And then the last one, my last one, is getting the harvest in before a coming storm.
Oh, getting the harvest in before a storm. Okay. So I'm going to read you my scenarios and then we'll list out all 6 so people know what we're working with. Yeah. My first scenario was a picnic.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, just keeping it simple, right? My second scenario was an air show, like going to see the Blue Angels, right? So down there where you are right now. And then my third scenario is a little bit more complicated, a trip to the mall to buy an emergency pair of khaki pants.
Love it.
So
personal experience there for you, Dave?
I can neither confirm nor deny the need for emergency khaki pants at any point in my life. But yeah, so a picnic, an air show, and a trip to the mall to buy an emergency pair of khaki pants, added to the list of looking for a misplaced wallet, the fall of the Galactic Empire, getting harvest in before a coming storm. I'm already seeing how maybe some of these scenarios could be stacked. Just the scenarios could stack.
Right. Yeah.
We go on a picnic to an air show, and then we have to go look for our wallet and then get an emergency pair of pants because the Galactic Empire.
It's falling.
Who knows? Okay.
That's awesome.
So, all right. Who are your sets of characters? Let's get our set of characters. Okay. Those are the scenarios that we're going to be putting these characters into.
I think it's time for a Grand Kid Roundup.
Yes. So my first character, I have a worried alien general. I have the young king of Spain.
Okay.
And I have a gunslinger who has lost his gun. What characters did you have?
I misunderstood a little bit, and I have 3 sets of 2 characters together.
That's fine. I did give you the prompt to create sets of characters, and I goofed
Great.
on that. So.
I did what I was told to do then.
Yeah, you did.
All right. So my first set of characters is a small boy and his big dog.
Love it.
So classic. A little bit of contrast there. My second set of characters is 2 roommates, Jack, an accounting major, and Kyle, a graphic design major. 2 roommates, Jack and Kyle. And then a third set of characters is a mother and her sister. I was trying to not say two middle-aged women, but I did. So I meant a mother with brown hair and her sister with blonde hair. Her sister is also a mother. It's just two women who are sisters who are mothers. Once again, a little bit too complicated. So a small boy, his big dog, two roommates, Jack, an accounting major, Kyle, a graphic design major, a mother with brown hair, and her sister, who is at similar age as her with blonde hair. And then you had a worried alien general, the young king of Spain. The young king of Spain or a young king of Spain?
The young king.
Okay, I got it right. I got to mark that down. Sorry. And then a gunslinger who has lost his gun. So, all right. So for our audience's sake, what happens next?
These are the very first set of rules for the game of basketball.
So what we are going to do is we're going to number them. If you notice, we have 6 total. So David, we're going to number them 1 through 6, and we're going to roll a 6-sided die twice, 1 for scenario and 1 for character, and we're going to match them together, and then we're going to brainstorm what could go wrong when the character meets the scenario.
Are we telling the audience as we roll the dice, or and letting them brainstorm with us, or are we?
I think that's fine.
Okay, great.
I think that's fine for this
All right.
round.
So our first set of characters, or our singular character, depending on who came up with them, the roll of the dice is number 6, which is a gunslinger who has lost his gun.
Okay.
So that is our character, and then all right, number 4 is a picnic. So we have a gunslinger who has lost his gun going on a picnic. That is our first set of character and scenario.
Few moments later.
As we have come back from brainstorming, Mark, share with our audience what the rules are for this round as we prepare to talk about what could go wrong with a gunslinger who has lost his gun going on a picnic.
So David and I are going to go back and forth a few times. And in this round, the things that go wrong are going to stack on top of each other. So they will build. So one thing is going to go wrong after another. So that is the goal of this round.
Okay, who goes first?
All right, I can go first.
All right,
so
what's the first thing that goes wrong?
The first thing that goes wrong is the gun that he is looking for is actually in the basket. And when his date sets it down, it goes off and injures her. It shoots through the basket and injures her leg.
Okay. All right. I gotta cross out one of my what could go wrongs.
Oh, that's great.
All right. I think that after the gun goes off, he finds another gun buried in the ground, but it doesn't work.
Oh.
It's like because it's full of dirt and it's missing pieces and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Like he was trying to spread out the blanket and there was something keeping it from, and he felt, and it was really hard. He pulled it out. It's this old rusty gun.
Well, he's trying to he's probably trying to administer, like first aid, but the problem is on the picnic, he got food poisoning. So now he is throwing up while trying to help his date, and he still doesn't have a gun that works.
Okay. I was also going to say that maybe there were ants.
Oh, great. So he's getting bit by ants.
Yeah, on top of the food poisoning, on top of the wounded date.
Yeah. I had that. I think it would be funny. So he thinks that he sees. He thinks that he sees a gun in the river. So he thinks he sees even another gun that might be his gun.
Okay, we got 3 guns.
And he falls in the river looking for it. So now he has food poisoning. He's covered in ants and he has fallen in the river. Meanwhile, his date is bleeding out.
Right. Okay. And then the second thing I thought that maybe could go wrong would be scorpions. Because they're worse than ants.
This is so sad.
Yeah. So maybe he did get back out of the river, but then there were scorpions kind of around the campsite. So he's really trying to navigate this scenario while throwing up.
Okay. And then lastly, to cap it all off, he spends the entire date trying to get the things off of him, but he mostly spends it looking for his gun. Like he spends the entire date picnic looking for the gun that he can't find, and he loses the love of his life in the process. So overall, just an absolute tragedy of a story here. Do you want me? Can I recap it for us?
Yeah, recap it real quick. Just remind us what went wrong.
Yeah, so we had a gunslinger who has lost his gun and he was going on a picnic. Apparently it was a date. And the first thing that went wrong was the gun that he was looking for was actually in the basket, and it went off accidentally and shot through the basket and shot his date in the leg.
He
but
found
then
a gun.
Right, he found a gun, because the thing is, he's still looking for the gun, but the gun is now out of bullets because it only had one bullet in it when it fired. So he found another gun that was underneath the picnic blanket, but as he reached down to get it, he threw up because he had food poisoning. And then the ants started crawling all over him. So meanwhile, his date is still in need of first aid, but he is just captivated by the search for this gun. And then as he thought he saw another gun in the stream next to him, so he went to look there. And as he fell in, he got covered by scorpions, and he lost the love of his life.
Lost the love of his life. So that is a terrible ending, and that is definitely something that could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
The only other thing I had marked that maybe would contribute is the bad guy arrives on the scene with 2 guns, but refuses to share.
That's awesome. I had a one where the reason, it wasn't really a thing that went wrong, but the reason that he was on the picnic was he's on the picnic with his like arch rival nemesis person, and their wives had taken their guns away from them, and they were making them go on a picnic so they would get along. So he lost his gun because the wife took it away from him.
I like it. I had a couple other options where the girl turned him down before he even got on the picnic. But you put her there before we even got into that. So I was like, okay. And then rattlesnakes was also on my list. Rain. It was too hot. There was no shade. And then the other one that I thought would have been particularly tragic is he got peanut butter and jelly on his favorite pair of chaps. So I felt
which might require an emergency trip to the mall.
Yeah, to replace your emergency pair of chaps. So
that's great.
All right. We're gonna find out what's ready for us here in round 2. We got 5 sets of characters and 5 scenarios left. So we'll roll the dice first. The number is 2, and that is scenario the fall of the Galactic Empire.
Nice.
So we're going to find out who is experiencing the fall of the Galactic Empire in just one moment as I roll the dice. And the dice roll for the character on this one is 3, which is a mother and her sister. So a blonde-haired mother and her brown-haired sister. Who is also a mother. I must remind everyone. All right, so we will let's find out what our scenarios are here.
5 minutes later.
All right, we're back, and we're not back, but we finished brainstorming. Back. Yeah, we finished brainstorming. And since I went first last time, David, do you want to lead us off with the fall of the Galactic Empire? What could go wrong to 2 moms who are sisters, one blonde, one brown hair?
Yes. Both women are on a girls' trip to Naboo when all transportation is locked down galaxy-wide.
Nice.
So they finally got away for the weekend. The husband's watching the younglings, and they're in Naboo, spa weekend. I mean, Naboo is a gorgeous place, and the Galactic Empire is being overthrown. And so transportation is just, it's maybe not locked down, but like flights are being canceled, and smugglers are trying to charge exorbitant rates to get people places, and people are trying to get home for the fall of the empire, they can watch in front of their TVs.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It is the most wonderful time of the year. So many fireworks, wonderful things. So I thought them getting stuck on Naboo, the spas still trying to like keep them happy, but they've kind of overstayed the money that they spent, and they didn't have enough money saved for an extra 2 days. And they're trying to figure out how to get off the planet to get home.
No, that's good. Wow. That is really good. I think what would be worse than that, and this is I think what could be worse than that is, and this is a bit of a different sci-fi take, is if they ran out of spice. Because I think that, as a mom, you need that. Like, you just need that spice. So.
Okay. Ran out of spice. Okay. Yeah. I totally see that. I think that a worst case scenario than that is neither woman knows whether their respective husband is dead or alive.
Yeah,
that the empire is falling, and both of these women, they don't know. They're at each other's houses every night, comforting one another, cooking meals, trying to find any, sending out messages, that sort of thing. So a little bit of a more serious take, but that is, I think, worse than running out of spice.
No, I agree. I think one thing that could be worse than that is if they got enlisted. If they're running out of the male population and they themselves, that could be such an interesting story of them, like what would it have to take to get to that point, where they're enlisted into the Empire's army. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can top that one. The only other option I had was the brown-haired mother's husband's wealth was entirely gained by selling weapons to the Empire.
Wow.
So now that there's no more Empire, I'm sure he'll find someone to sell weapons to, but will they be as wealthy? Will their economic status falter? It's right. It's a crisis time for her.
Yes.
And her sister has to be there in the midst of that.
Makes sense. I actually do have a capper. I have an ender. I have an ender to end all.
Okay. The worst thing that could happen. Right. What could go wrong? Two
moms that are sisters. The Galactic Empire has fallen. That means they have to homeschool.
Oh, come on.
They're going to have to homeschool.
It's not that bad. There's tons of holla lessons. Holographic I'm just science lessons and things. Yeah. So, all right, cool. I enjoyed that round very much. The fall of the Galactic Empire and what could go wrong with a blonde-haired mother and her brown-haired sister who is also a mother. Two mothers surviving the end of the Empire together, which not the end of the universe, but still a traumatic time.
Traumatic time for all.
Cool. All right, let me cross out the options here.
And for this last round, David and I are going to actually brainstorm separate ideas. So we're going to roll 4 times, basically, each for a scenario, each for a thing. So scenario and character for David, scenario and character for me. And then we're going to both brainstorm our respective lists, and then we're going to swap scenarios, but we have to keep our same lists and read them. So that's going to be fun.
Several months later.
All right, we are back. And in this round, we have brainstormed each separate scenarios and characters. We're going to now swap those and keep our lists, but we're going to swap our scenarios and characters. So David, my scenario and character was the young king of Spain going to buy emergency khaki pants at the mall.
Awesome. All right. So one of the things that could go wrong is that his son could have borrowed his cruiser without asking, and his wallet is in the center console. So he does not have his wallet to buy emergency khaki pants as the young king of Spain.
Because his galactic cruiser. This is a very advanced Spanish. Yeah. It's the new galactic. Remember when Spain explored all the world and ruled the seas?
This is the new Spain.
Yeah, the new Spain.
Ooh, I love
risen.
That.
The new Spain has risen.
Yeah, this is the year is 3,947 type book. All right, do you need another scenario for the young king of Spain looking for emergency pants at the mall, or do you want to come over to me?
No, go for it.
It is a wallet in this scenario, fell into the toilet and got flushed into space and incinerated. So you can't buy. Once again, if you don't have your wallet, you can't buy khaki pants. You may have figured out what scenario I'm dealing with here. It was stolen by rebel scum.
What was his khaki pants? That's why. Yeah, that's why he needs khaki pants, because his khaki pants were stolen by. That's what it is. I love it. We can use it for anything.
Yeah. He left it at the bar that he told his wife he did not go to after his meeting.
His khaki pants. Oh, I love it.
All right, I got one more for you. The worst thing that could have happened is a lower-ranking alien has taken a roll of masking tape and a Sharpie and labeled everything in sight. That is something that could have gone wrong.
That is something that could have gone wrong because that's a logistical nightmare that he's got to deal with while he's trying to run his errands. Okay.
A lower ranking alien, masking tape and Sharpie labeling everything plus emergency khaki pants.
For the king of Spain.
For the king of Spain. The young king of Spain.
Yeah.
The young king of Spain.
Yeah.
All right. So you've prepared a list of scenarios, and I am about to give you a character in a scenario. You've prepared a list of what could go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the character of a worried alien general looking for his misplaced wallet.
Well, the first thing that could go wrong is the mall is closed.
Yep.
So
that's the first place you look for your wallet when you're an alien general.
Yeah, right. And he locked himself out of his carriage.
Okay, locked himself out of his carriage.
Right.
So a little bit of a throwback, like a retro loving alien general.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And of course, he got distracted at the Lego store. So
Yes.
he doesn't have time to find his wallet because you can't even remember he lost it. Now he's at the Lego store looking
They
cool
put
set.
the Lego store next to the Apple store, Mark, and I have one thing to say.
Yes.
It's a trap.
It is a trap. The Galactic Empire is falling. And then lastly, I have the worried alien general has lost his wallet, and he spills something on his new pants at the food court. And that is just adding to his troubles. He is now lost. He is in the mall. He has lost his wallet. He has spilled something on his new pants. And he's worried. He's very worried.
He's worried about this scenario.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that, Mark and dear listener, was What Could Go Wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very much enjoyable, entertaining. It made you stretch your brain out because you automatically had to take a character. And I know our audience probably had images that came to mind when we would read out the character, we'd read out the scenario. But then we could expand upon those images by taking these little sentences, these little scenario, these little what could go wrong happenings, and adding them to the flavor of an existing scenario. So,
and one of the reasons I wanted to do this exercise is just to encourage you guys, when you guys are writing your stories, don't be afraid to let terrible things happen to your characters, because it's so hard. We love our characters and we want nothing bad to happen to them. We want to kind of, protect them at all costs. But one of the cool things, and this is just an example of it, is how compelling all of a sudden and interesting you can make your stories simply by just throwing bad things at them. And even if you are telling a story to a friend in like a setting that is appropriate for it, don't be afraid to include the bad things that happened in the story that you're telling, because it will make it, like we demonstrate, more funny, more compelling, more drama. It'll really add to it. So,
well, bad things happening give you something to overcome, or if just bad, like to our characters tonight, just bad thing after bad thing, like that cowboy in the first scenario.
Yeah.
Just your heart went out to the guy.
You just went through it. Yeah.
Even though it was a funny type of thing, like at the end, you're kind of like, man, nothing went right today. The other scenarios is like, okay, we can bounce back from that. Like you both got enlisted in the Galactic Empire, but you're sisters, you'll get stationed somewhere together. It'll be fine. It gives you obstacles to overcome. And it's always good to help, even when you're just telling a story about your day, like help someone see, like, I overcame this, or there's room for growth. Like I grew as a result of this. So
that's good.
I love it. All right, Mark. Well, if people enjoyed this writing exercise and writing along with us, they can subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, and Google and Amazon. We're on all those platforms for more episodes like this one. We're going to do 30 of these. We got 29 left. There'll be some interviews sprinkled in along the way as we connect with intelligent storytellers and amazing artists. But leave us a comment and a review on the episode if you like this, and make sure you share it with someone who's also into storytelling and wants to tell inspirational stories. And we really appreciate that.
Yeah. And you can connect with us on Facebook and Instagram, Destination Arete, ARETE. And you can get information there about future maybe interviews that we're doing, or more episodes like this that are coming out, as well as information about like community activities that we might be doing and upcoming Arete projects that may or may not be in the works behind the scenes.
And if you enjoyed today's episode and you wanted to maybe explore one of the scenarios that we didn't get to, a week after this episode goes up, we're going to post one of them on our Instagram, on our Facebook, and we're going to ask you guys what could go wrong. We'd love to hear that. So be sure and follow us on social media, and you can join in on these writing exercises with us.
And lastly, before we go, if you want to be the first to hear about these episodes, about upcoming interviews, we really encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter by sending an email to destinationarete@gmail.com, or you can go to destinationarete.com/contact and you can type in your message there. Just let us know that you want to get signed up for the newsletter. We would love to put you on that list. David does a great job putting those out for us, and they're really, really fun and informative.
Okay, guys, we'll be back in 2 weeks with another episode. It might be an interview. It might be a writing exercise. You're going to have to subscribe to find out. We'll see you then.